What if I told you that Ferrari has just found a hidden advantage in its engine that could completely change the balance of Formula One before the Miami GP? Because while everyone was looking at other parts of the car, at Maranello they were developing something much deeper. A system that not only improves aerodynamics, but converts exhaust gases into real performance on the track. And the most shocking thing is not that. The most shocking thing is that McLaren has already reacted. Yes, just as you hear it. McLaren is trying to copy this time trial solution to bring it to Miami, which has unleashed a real technical war in the paddock. But here comes the big question. Can they really replicate something that Ferrari designed from scratch in their entire car? Or are they about to make a mistake that could cost them dearly? Because this is not just any improvement. This can define who dominates the season. Ferrari has done something that very few teams achieve in Formula One. Get ahead of the rest not with a visible improvement, but with an intelligent interpretation of the regulations that completely changes how the car's performance is understood. Because while most teams focus their resources on optimizing the traditional downforce, spoilers, floors, geometries, Ferrari went one step further and decided to attack an area that has historically been extremely delicate: the behavior of exhaust gases and their influence on rear aerodynamics. And that is where this story is born. During pre-season testing, what seemed like a minor detail began to attract attention within the paddock. Engineers watching, cameras pointing, and above all, questions. Ferrari had introduced a concept that, although seemingly simple, hid enormous complexity. A system capable of redirecting exhaust gases to directly influence the aerodynamic flow of the car. It wasn't a new trick in essence, but it was new in execution. Because this was not about recreating the past, but about adapting it to a completely different and much more restrictive regulation. What makes this solution special is how it integrates with the entire car. Ferrari did not design an isolated piece, it designed a complete concept. Exhaust gases, normally expelled with no direct use beyond the engine, now become an active tool for generating performance. When strategically redirected, these gases energize the flow passing through the rear, improving the efficiency of the spoiler and increasing the diffuser's ability to generate charge. The result is a car that gains stability in curves, improves traction, and does so without paying the usual price at top speed. But there is an even more important detail, one that explains why this is not easy to copy. Ferrari made key decisions from the beginning of the car's design, especially in the power unit. They opted for a configuration that allows them to precisely control the flow, temperature, and pressure of the exhaust gases. This means that the system not only depends on the aerodynamics but also on the engine. It is a total symbiosis. And in Formula One, when something is so deeply integrated, replicating it is not a matter of weeks. It is a matter of philosophy. Meanwhile, the competitive context makes this innovation even more relevant. McLaren arrives as one of the strongest teams after its recent evolution, with a car that has already proven capable of making important differences, especially since key updates introduced at critical moments of the season. This means that we are not talking about just any team trying to copy, but one that has the real ability to understand, adapt, and potentially maximize an idea like this. And this is where the tension begins. Because as soon as Ferrari showed this solution, the rest of the paddock understood that it was not something minor. It wasn't another improvement. It was a possible structural advantage. And when that happens in Formula One, the domino effect is immediate. Everyone tries to understand it, but not everyone can replicate it. What is happening right now is exactly that. McLaren has already started its own analysis process, seeking to figure out how the system works and to what extent they can integrate it into their current car. But time is against him. Because while Ferrari continues to refine its concept with real track data, McLaren is at a much earlier stage. Understand before implementing. This leaves us at a key point in the narrative. Ferrari has not only innovated, it has forced us to react. And in Formula One, making your rivals change their route is often more valuable than any direct improvement in the stopwatch. The problem for McLaren is not understanding what Ferrari has done. It is everything that involves trying to replicate it in record time. Because it is one thing to detect an innovation and quite another to integrate it into a car that already has a completely defined philosophy. And this is where the real technical conflict begins that can determine the course of the season. After the first signs on the track, McLaren reacted as great teams react, with aggressive analysis. They didn't just observe, they went further. They placed specific sensors in the exhaust area, collected data, studied the flow behavior, and began to build a theory about how Ferrari is generating that advantage. But even with all that information, there is a difficult barrier to overcome. They do not have the same starting point. Because the McLaren car, although extremely competitive, was designed under a different logic. Its evolution has been aggressive, yes, but always within its own aerodynamic and mechanical architecture. This means that any attempt to introduce a Ferrari-inspired system is not a natural fit, forcing compromises to be made. And in Formula One, every commitment has a cost. This is where the time factor comes into play. The calendar does not wait, and the Miami GP appears as the immediate objective to introduce this possible copy. But developing something like this in just a few weeks involves taking significant risks. There is no room to completely redesign the car, so McLaren would be working on an adapted, possibly simplified, version that attempts to capture some of the benefit without altering too much the overall balance of the car. And that opens up multiple scenarios. The first, the optimistic one, that McLaren achieves a performance good enough to reduce Ferrari's advantage, maintaining the stability of its car and taking advantage of its already solid aerodynamic package. If this happens, we could see a direct battle much more balanced than expected. But then there is the most dangerous scenario, that the integration is not perfect, that the flow does not behave as they expect, that the car loses balance in certain phases of the curve, or that the performance is inconsistent depending on the conditions. Because these types of solutions are not linear, either they work as a whole, or they generate problems that are difficult to correct on the track. Meanwhile, Ferrari continues to play in another league in this regard. They are not improvising, they are optimizing. Each turn they take allows them to better understand how to exploit that system, how to make it more stable, more efficient, more predictable. And that knowledge advantage is, at this point, as valuable as the innovation itself. The most interesting thing is how this situation is changing the dynamic between both teams. It is no longer just a fight of pure performance, it is a fight of concepts. Ferrari has set a technical direction, and McLaren is faced with the decision of whether to follow it or trust its own path. But by trying to do both at the same time, they put themselves in an extremely delicate position. And all this converges at a critical point, Miami, because it won't be just another race. It will be the first real big test of this technical battle. There we will see if McLaren has managed to close the gap, or if Ferrari has created an advantage that cannot be copied so easily. And this is where everything is defined. Because what began as a technical innovation has become a turning point that can mark the destiny of the season. Ferrari is no longer simply competing, it is dictating the path. It has forced its rivals to react, to rethink concepts, to invest resources in understanding something that they already master. And that, in Formula One, is a position of absolute power. Because while other teams are trying to achieve that idea, Ferrari is already thinking about how to take it to the next level. Miami will not be just another update on the calendar, it will be the first scenario where we will see if this copy of McLaren makes real sense on the track, or if, on the contrary, it confirms that Ferrari is a structural advantage that is impossible to replicate in the short term. And this is where the pressure completely changes sides. Because if McLaren gets it right, the narrative becomes a direct battle, an open technical war where both teams evolve in parallel. But if it fails, if that adaptation does not work as expected, the blow can be double. Losing performance and, at the same time, having diverted resources from their own development. And that is the most dangerous of all. It's not just copying, it's risking your own identity as a team. Meanwhile, Ferrari plays with a calmness that is not based solely on the stopwatch, but on understanding. They know why their system works. They know how it responds in different conditions. They know how far they can squeeze it. And in a sport where every thousandth counts, that level of control is what separates those who lead from those who chase. So the big question is no longer whether McLaren can copy Ferrari. The real question is, are they on time? Or has Ferrari already created an advantage that will define the entire season? Because if what we will see in Miami confirms that superiority, then we will not be talking about a simple innovation. We will be talking about the exact moment in which Ferrari changed the rules of the game again. And in the end, it all comes down to something that always makes a difference in Formula One. Who understands the game better? And who arrives at the right solution first. Ferrari has not only created an innovation, it has changed the technical conversation within the paddock. It has shown that there are still gray areas in the regulations capable of generating real advantages, and most importantly, that if you detect them before anyone else and build your entire car around them, you can force your rivals to always be one step behind. McLaren, for its part, represents the other side of this story. A strong, capable team with enough resources and talent to react. But facing the greatest possible challenge, copying something that was not designed to be copied in the middle of the season. His attempt in Miami will not only be an update, it will be a declaration of intent. And therein lies the essence of all this. We're not just seeing a technical improvement, we're seeing competitive advantage being built or lost in real time. Ferrari has the knowledge, the foundation, and the confidence. McLaren has the urgency, the pressure, and the challenge to respond without margin for error. Because in this sport, when someone sets the trend, others only have two options: catch up or stay behind. And if Miami confirms what many already suspect, then this will not just be the start of a technical battle. It will be the moment in which Ferrari will have taken control of the immediate future of Formula One. Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.